My name is Thomas and welcome to my channel where we talk about everything automotive. Today we're going through the top 10 electric vehicles for 2020. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Let's get right into the information. Whether you think the world's going to turn into a giant ball of fire if we don't stop using combustion engines, or if you're of the belief that the world is just going through one of its many cycles, I think that we can all agree that electric vehicles are becoming a bigger and bigger deal every single year, and 2020 is of course going to be the biggest year yet, and I think that a huge portion of the vehicle sales are going to be contributed by electric vehicles specifically. That is why today I'm breaking down my top 10 choice for the 2020 electric vehicles. So without any further ado, let's break down this list. At number 10 is the Porsche Taycan, which means lively young horse. I want to start with the Porsche 918 SPYDER though. This currently has the fastest 0 to 60 time at 2.2 seconds and has held that since its release in 2014. This is personally one of my favorite cars ever, and it's a hybrid. This was proof that Porsche knew how to combine electric motors and speed very well. The Porsche Taycan is round 2, except this time it's fully electric. I feel like they learned a lot from creating the 918 SPYDER. This four-door sports car started off being released at the 2015 Frankfurt Motor Show, being titled the Mission E. And a few years later, they are getting ready to release what it has evolved into. This has a 300-mile range, has a dual motor setup, 600 horsepower, and can do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Very excited for this one. And not to mention that Porsche was the company that invented the first fully electric vehicle over 100 years ago. At number 9 is the Fisker E-Motion. Henry Fisker, the former Aston Martin designer, made a splash when he unveiled his all-electric E-Motion supercar in Las Vegas in early 2018. Its 775 horsepower powertrain provides acceleration to 60 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds. The E-Motion uses an impressive 140 kilowatt-hour battery that Fisker himself promised would get more than 400 miles of range. The E-Motion features 4 butterfly doors, more rear legroom than a BMW 7 Series, and robust levels of automation. The first E-Motion units are expected sometime in 2020. Since unveiling, Fisker has been quiet about the supercar. Instead, he's been talking up next-generation solid-state batteries and his self-driving orbit shuttle concept. At number 8 is the 2020 Honda Urban EV. Honda's adorable Urban EV will go on sale in Europe in early 2020. It's uncertain if Honda will sell the Urban here, where it would become the smallest car sold in the US by a Japanese automaker. Americans and us Canadians show very little interest in these subcompact cars these days, but I do think that if the Urban came over here, there would be a niche market happy to welcome a new, small, battery-powered commuter among a wave of electric crossovers and sedans. The Urban EV is expected to offer about 150 miles of range on a single charge. In the number 7 spot is the 2020 Audi e-tron GT concept. Now I know that concept is still in the title of this EV, but on Audi's website it says that it'll be coming in late 2020. And even though they still classify it as a concept, they've still given us a lot of information. For example, it has 590 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, which is pretty much the same as 60 miles per hour, in 3.5 seconds, and all the way to 200 kilometers per hour in just over 12 seconds. I think this Audi is beautiful, but the back end reminds me a little too much of a certain car that you may have heard of, the Mustang. This is the first time that Audi's ever gone for a fully electric sports car, so it'll be interesting to see what they can pull off. In the past, all they did was create the 2018 A3 Sportback e-tron, but that was just a hybrid. And of course the 2019 Audi e-tron, but that was nowhere near as impressive as this, only boasting a 204 mile range and a 5.5 second 0 to 60 time, coming from a 95 kilowatt hour battery. At number 6 is the 2020 Mercedes-Benz EQC. Back in 2016 at the Paris Motor Show, Mercedes released the Generation EQ concept vehicle, stating that they were going to be releasing 10 EQ models by the year 2022. EQ being the name that they've given to their electric vehicle family. So you may have already figured out that the C in the name EQC stands for concept. But nonetheless, you're still going to see these cars silently roaming around the roads in early 2020. The EQC is an all-wheel drive, small SUV similar to the size of the GLC compact crossover that they also produce. There will be two separate 201 horsepower motors, one on each axle, for a total of 402 horsepower. The 80 kilowatt-hour battery that the EQC is built around should provide around 220 miles of range. Compared to the GLC, the Mercedes EQC has more rounded edges as well as the single black panel that is the grille and headlamps. You can of course expect all of the creature comforts you would normally see in a Mercedes SUV, and the starting price will be around $80,000 US. At number 5 is the 2020 Ford electric SUV, which is currently unnamed, but it will apparently be heavily inspired by the Mustang. The reason that I've put this mystery SUV by Ford at the middle of my list is because I know very little about it, and Ford has definitely kept all the information under wraps very well. However, there are a number of renderings online where individuals have taken a guess and a shot in the dark at what this SUV might look like if it is inspired by the Mustang. Ford is promising this to be a 300-mile all-electric crossover SUV that will be put out sometime in 2020. The 5-seat crossover EV should be about the same size as the Ford Edge. So if you can just imagine a Ford Mustang with a Ford Edge and a battery to power it. Apart from that, let your imagination go wild. This EV is expected to offer wireless home charging and over-the-air software updates. Few other details are known except that the all-electric SUV will be the signature vehicle among Ford's upcoming crop of 16 pure electric vehicles that are expected by the year 2022. At number 4 is the 2020 Polestar 2. Polestar is a new dedicated EV brand from Volvo that is owned by a Chinese automotive group called Geely. In 2019, they released a limited amount of the Polestar 1 that is a plug-in hybrid supercar that costs $155,000 US. But Polestar will be making a bigger splash in 2020. That's when the Polestar 2, a 300-mile all-electric 5-seater fastback, will go on sale. Hints from the Polestar executives suggest that the price will be between $40,000 and $65,000 US for this 400 horsepower EV. The annual production will target 50,000 units, and sales of the Polestar 2 will start on the West Coast. Test drives will be provided via retail galleries in upscale shopping centers. At number 3 is the 2020 Tesla Roadster. The Tesla Model Y will also be released in 2020, but all around, the Roadster is going to be a more impressive vehicle. Believe it or not, this is going to be the second generation of the Tesla Roadster. The first generation was made from 2008 to 2012, and this time it's returning with vengeance with the ability to teleport from
0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
1.9 seconds, absolutely annihilating the Porsche 918 SPYDER, who held the previous #1 0 to 60 time. Tesla also says that it can run for as long as 620 miles on a single charge.
The new Tesla Roadster will be the fastest production car ever made, period.
At the number 2 spot is the Aston Martin RAPIDE E. Aston Martin will be building a very limited amount of these outrageous 602 horsepower all-electric 4-door sports sedans that are based off of the capable and gorgeous RAPIDE coupe. In fact, they're only going to be building 155 of them. The first units are expected to roll out of the company's plant in Wales just as 2020 arrives. 2 electric motors, one at each of the rear wheels, making this rear-wheel drive, and a 65 kilowatt-hour battery pack will be mounted where the original 6-liter V12 engine, its gearbox, and the fuel tank were previously located. It is expected to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds, have a total of 700 pound-foot of torque, a driving range of about 200 miles, and a max speed of 155 miles per hour. Aston Martin has promised that this will still be in every way just as much a British sports car, but sadly, even if you wanted to cough up the $260,000 US for this Aston Martin, I'm sorry to say, but all 155 units have already been pre-sold. But if all goes well, Aston Martin says that the company will make more electric cars in the future. And last but not least, at my #1 spot for electric vehicles coming out in 2020 is the Rivian R1T. I'm a truck guy through and through. If you've seen my videos in the past, you know that the bulk of them are on trucks and modifications and lifts and custom bits because that's the stuff that I really love. So I had to put the Rivian R1T at my #1 spot. By the way, that stands for Rivian's first truck. There is of course also the SUV version, which is just as fantastic as it's just a different body. The platform is the same. The SUV, guess what? It's R1S, Rivian's first SUV. There are more trucks than you might think coming out in 2020 and 2021. If you want to know more information of all of those, I took the 4 main ones and compared them in a separate video that I just made a few days ago. I'll link that down in the description below and put it at the end of this video. Anyway, let's break down some more information on the R1T. The base price is $70,000 and that will get you a 105 kilowatt hour battery. You can also upgrade it to 135 and 180 if you would like to. The range will be at least 400 miles with a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds and a top speed that has been limited to 125 miles per hour. The max towing capacity is said to be 11,000 pounds, which is the same as 5,000 kilograms, and it'll also apparently be able to charge to 50% in 30 minutes. If those numbers don't blow your mind for a pickup truck, then I don't know what will. That's why it's at my #1 spot. I'm so excited and I really hope that Rivian can pull all those numbers off. I would get one of these in a heartbeat. And my last 2 cents on Rivian is they're going after something very ambitious. They're trying to combine the truck community and the electric vehicle community, and there's a reason that nobody else has gone after that until now. And out of everyone that's going after this combination, I think that Rivian is pulling it off the best. They just announced a brilliant idea, and it's the possibility of charge sharing. So if you ever run out of juice and you don't have anywhere that you can charge, all you need is a similar vehicle and they can give you a little bit of a boost. And of course I also have some honorable mentions. There is the Bollinger B1 and B2. This company is extraordinarily modest and has a lot of brain power behind their build and design. I'm very excited to see this company succeed. In 2020 we're also going to get the Mini Electric. I feel like that this vehicle is going to be a big hit in Europe. And lastly, there is the BMW iX3. This electric crossover is the final piece in the puzzle to prove that almost all the big German automakers are interested in making these electric vehicles. And even though the numbers aren't that spectacular, this is just the start for BMW, and I feel like they have a lot more planned that they're not telling us. The future looks really exciting and it's pretty much already here. 2020 is going to be a crazy year for electric vehicles and I can't wait to see what else they unveil in the next couple years, especially if we're already going to be getting a Tesla Roadster that does 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds and the Rivian R1T, which is probably going to be one of the first fully electric pickups that are roaming around our roads. Couldn't be more excited. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below what your favorite vehicle coming out in 2020 is going to be. I read all of your comments, believe it or not, and I'm excited to see what you guys choose. Anyway, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and if you enjoy what I do here on this channel, feel free to drop a like on this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.